Rachel Wana.
I'm Lubika Rawood. For more information on the work that we do and how you can help us to help others, please visit our website www.secondchances.org.za.
In Junior Achievement South Africa, its focus is really to expose youngsters within high school and out of school to entrepreneurial thinking, and ours is focused at high school from grade 10 to 12.
I'm very big on youth empowerment and making a difference and touching lives and impacting the lives of our young people. That's practically what I do with my foundation as well, and ever since I was crowned as Miss SA.
The goal of the magazine is to basically share information that will be able to assist small business owners.
You're listening to The Social Show with Rachel Wana
And Lubika Rawood, live on brandlive.co.za.
Good morning, Lubika. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Finally, it's Friday, you know?
Finally, the week is over. We had quite a hectic week, but we're very glad to be here. Anyway, as usual, we're going to start the day off with the news.
After noticing the large amounts of pupils go to school without school bags and carrying plastic bags with stationery in them, Benoni resident Xolani Ngobazane decided to launch the National Donate a School Bag campaign. The campaign, which has been running for the past year, has provided underprivileged pupils with school bags, uniform, and a lucky pupil even received a laptop. Ngobazana said their goal is to collect 100,000 school bags and stationery so that they can help even more children. If the goal is met, they plan on distributing them to 100 schools across South Africa. Since the start of the year, the campaign has provided about 350 pupils in the Gauteng, Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal and Limpopo provinces with school bags and some stationery. Ngobazana said they will also donate stationery vouchers to the pupils, which may be used throughout the year. For more information or to make a donation, visit their Facebook page, National Donate a School Bag campaign.
Local restaurant chain Doppio Zero is on a mission to make sure every Mandela Day Mandela Day through a 67 jobs campaign, which is aimed at young people who have little or no chance of breaking into the restaurant industry because of their lack of skills and experience. According to Ivan Walsh, Doppio Zero operations director, the corporate world largely tends to focus on what employees can do for the company, how employees can work together to create bigger brands and increase profits. But he says he thinks it's equally important for brands to work together to create opportunities for people. Walsh goes on to say that he is not just talking about benefiting people who are current employees. Now, partnering with various NGOs, Doppio Zero has already accepted a number of young candidates who are currently being trained in various entry-level disciplines.
South African retailer Woolworths has called off a trial that introduced colourful plastic egg boxes following backlash from customers on social media platforms. The trial run egg boxes were an attempt to make the containers more reusable in a playful manner. The boxes had been launched in 3 brightly coloured plastic containers called Egg Play, but the backlash online was immediate, with users taking to Twitter and Facebook to complain about the product, which they said was an unnecessary and wasteful addition, considering the biodegradable nature of the recycled cartons eggs that they are currently sold in. Many users criticized Woolworths for using plastic, even though the company pointed out that the boxes were designed to be reused, could be recycled and returned to stores to be donated to other people. Last week, the retailer responded, saying that the trial was called off and the product would be discontinued and pulled off shelves within a week.
A principal of an unaccredited college in Johannesburg got the shock of his life on Monday when the Department of Higher Education and Training officials paid him a visit and declared his college bogus. Mighty Mboga, principal of Johannesburg City College, got into a heated argument with officials when they asked him if his college was accredited with the department. The college offers work-based learning programs which are not accredited by the department. Now, Mboga defended his college by saying that he has always had differences with the department because they don't do it the way he wants them to do it, referring to the journalists that accompanied the department officials upon the inspection. Now, the college offers qualifications in music, accounting, botany, applied mathematics, zoology, geology, and environmental sciences. Shahida Isek, Director and Registration of Private Institutions, said the college was not registered for the qualifications it promised the students. And that's it for the news for today.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Well, we're back on air right now with myself, Labika. Why do I always think I'm Labika, but I'm not? But anyway, as you know, yesterday we spoke a little bit about disaster relief management and just all the really, really horrible disasters that have been happening in South Africa recently, especially if you think about the floods that happened in Johannesburg, you know, where 6 people died, and you have the veld fires that are happening in Cape Town now, and you have just a plethora of things that are happening around South Africa that, you know, are really, really horrible.
Yeah. And yesterday we posed a lot of rhetorical questions, or questions that aren't really rhetorical, but something that we couldn't really answer on the show. And we promised you that we will have an expert ready to answer these questions. And we are trying to make contacts with the expert that we have chosen. And yes, he is Aki van Heerden, who's a team leader and media manager at City Hope Disaster Relief. Now, they provide relief to lots of immediate relief, rather. They provide immediate relief to South Africans as well as abroad. So today we're speaking to Aki van Heerden. Aki, how are you? Hello? Okay, so we have
finally got a hold of Mr. van Heerden. It's been so crazy. We haven't, I don't know what's going on. I think
it's a Friday.
It's a Friday thing, definitely. We don't know what's going on.
Yes, but Aki, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to know more about City Hope Disaster Relief. Tell us more about what you guys do.
Okay, so City Hope Disaster Relief started like in 2012, and we pretty much respond to disaster situations whenever they occur and wherever they occur.
Mm-hmm.
So, just recently, obviously, we've had this massive drought within the Southern Africa region, and we had worked with an organization in Malawi to send some food aid there for people who were struggling on that end. So we responded there by bringing food aid. We also respond to things like if there's a fire in a township or in a community, we'll go and send food aid there. So pretty much anything from fires to floods to droughts to refugee situations, whatever they are. If there's a disaster, we try and respond to it as best as we can, obviously if resources permit as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about us.
That's amazing. That's amazing stuff. Just talking about resources, I want to know, I know, you guys are providing a lot of food. Where do you get your resources? How do you guys manage to make, obviously to make sure that people you have the food, you have the aid readily available? I mean, it mustn't be easy. Can't be easy. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, when you get into a disaster situation, the needs are massive. So we've got some donors that support the work that our nonprofit does.
Okay.
And there are some businesses that also either donate supplies or financially contribute through those CSI budgets that they have. But obviously, you're always limited with what you can do because of funding.
Yeah.
So you can only do as much as the funding allows. But what is quite nice about what we do specifically is that none of the money that comes in to City Hope Disaster Relief goes out to just pay logistics and stuff. Every single cent that's donated goes 100% towards humanitarian aid. Because we really want to honor people who are giving and companies that are giving. So we've got other donors that pay specifically for logistics and stuff. So yeah, that's how we are set up. So that's really what also sets us apart.
Definitely.
from
That's
the rest,
lovely.
yeah.
Okay, so I know, in comparison to a lot of other countries, I think South Africa is quite lucky, when it comes to natural disasters and that kind of thing. And in our research, especially with a Trilog handbook that we actually looked at last year and this year as well, we've noticed that a lot of corporate companies do not necessarily or invest as much in NGOs that work in the disaster relief space, and we're not sure, maybe this is also as a result of us being lucky enough not to have the natural disasters that other countries do, although we do still have, like you just spoke about, the droughts and the floods and that kind of thing. But do you think this is ignorance? And how ignorant is this, given the fact that corporates do not invest in NGOs that work in your space, given your experience?
Yeah, I think the challenge is that a lot of companies go for the more a daily impact in their CSI budgets. For example, creches and feeding schemes and that sort of thing, where you can get, I suppose it won't be the right phrase to use, return of investment on investment, but they get immediate return on investment if they do a feeding scheme. Because people can say, like, we've done a feeding scheme this week and there's stuff happening. Disaster relief, on the other hand, is as and when disasters occur. The problem, though, with that is that disasters occur on a monthly basis. Things will happen. And because you just don't know exactly when it's going to happen, that's when people tend to hold back on those CSI budgets. Because they'd rather give something they can see immediately than something that will impact maybe a couple of weeks or a month or even 2 months sometimes in advance. It doesn't obviously take away from the fact that, we need to respond, but companies we've seen are more likely to give to the regular, where you can see things are happening on a weekly basis. But in saying that, there is a lot of disasters actually happening every single day in our country that just go unnoticed. You can just open the paper or News 24, any of those platforms, and see about a fire in a settlement, a community, or people starving of hunger, or a flood happening. They're all happening around us, but we're not necessarily as attuned to those things as we should be.
That's very true. And just in your experience with City Hope, what has been the most devastating, disaster in your experience, and how did you guys best deal with it? I know you have so many things. Like you said, you open the newspaper and there's like a disaster waiting for you, basically. So I really would like to know, what do you remember? What experience were you like, okay, we actually doing a really amazing job, and you got to really just say, you know what, this is something that is really, really needed in South Africa right now, disaster relief, NGOs, more of them.
Yeah, I think up front, I must say, like, every disaster situation has a very, a unique set of, how can I put it, emotional strain it takes. Last year we did a fire disaster. We responded to the Kenville fire disaster here in Durban, and that was really hectic because when we got on site, there was still parts of the community. You could still see the wood and stuff smoldering after the fire had gone through the community. So that's really traumatic in the sense of everybody has lost everything. So that was just really high emotion, intense, bringing food, bringing blankets, all that in that moment. So that's really hectic. But then there's other disasters that we've been a part of. For example, with droughts, I think those are probably worse than anything else. A fire disaster, people start to rebuild within a day or two. They start gathering equipment and start rebuilding their lives. But droughts, on the other hand, you don't know when they're going to end. So I think those are probably the worst type of disasters, just because there's no real definite end date to them. And so when we went to about 2.5 years ago, I was with a team that went to Somalia, to Mogadishu, to deliver 6 tons of food aid there. And that was just a whole lot of craziness there, because it was a famine response. Kids were dying daily of not having food. But arriving there, you realize this is just a drop in the ocean of what needs to be done. So you come to that realization that, we want to be able to give everybody food, but you actually just have to say, you know what, I made a difference to that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and more. And I mean, we fed hundreds of people in that during that time, but you come back feeling like you could have done more, but if resources permitted. But we just come to that place, we made a difference to those that we served in that place. So I would say famines and droughts would be probably up there with the worst, in my opinion.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and I want to know, lastly, how important is it that disaster and trauma relief is dealt with, from a post-disaster and long-term perspective?
I think it's really important. I mean, obviously the effects of there's a lot of social effects that disasters just generate within themselves, that unless you've been in that space, it's difficult to explain to people what they go through. When you see, I'll just to illustrate, we went to Malawi a year ago, and we responded with flooding that occurred. And the guys didn't have food, and one of the packets of food tore open and fell on the floor. And you had kids trying to scoop up the food and eat it from the ground. So you see that, and you see the hunger, and then you realize there's more to this than just responding and giving food. And so there needs to be a strategy put in place, more in communities, to be able to go with trauma counselors and all that sort of stuff, to be able to make sure that not only the practical needs are taken care of with regards to the community, but also the emotional needs and in terms of counseling through the trauma. Because, I mean, a lot of people also lose their families, lose loved ones when disasters occur. So there's that whole thing to cope with, not knowing where they're going to stay, not knowing where the next meal is going to come from. So it's really... it's really so important for us as a country to actually look at that. And it's not just NGO's problem, it's actually our country's problem. It's each and every individual's problem to deal with.
That's amazing to hear, because a lot of the time you find disaster relief or any kind of relief or aid comes from, countries that aren't in Africa. And I love the fact that, City Hope works in South Africa and works in Africa as well. So that is really, just testimony to the fact that although we are, developing in different ways as a country, we're also, lending a hand and really doing the best we can, or rather the best City Hope can, to really relieve a lot of the disasters that are happening, daily in Africa and in South Africa. So we really commend City Hope for the work that they're doing, and I really hope that this year is a good year for you guys, that you see a lot of sustainable, long-term change in every single, sort of disaster that you encounter. No, really.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Thank you. And thank you for everything you guys do as well.
No problem. Thank you so much, Aki. And I just have to, like Viwe said, we just really commend you, because it takes a brave, strong person who really, really wants to make a difference in their community to really do what you do, because what you do is not easy. It's not something that is really easy and shouldn't be taken lightly. A lot of corporates aren't investing enough in disaster relief organizations, and despite this, you guys are still doing what you can to provide relief to various communities where they need, and that's really, really beautiful. But yes, that was Aki van Heerden, who is the team leader and media manager at City Hope Disaster Relief. If you want to learn more about what they do, go online. It's just beautiful, beautiful stories that you'll find on City Hope. But thank you so much, Aki.
Pleasure. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks, bye.
Bye. Okay, so wow, just listening to the stories, just listening to what they go through. Sometimes you don't really think, you don't really think about the effect, the emotional toll it takes on the people who are really helping those, like if they go out on a fire, drought, all those various natural disasters they actually have to tend to. It's just really sad,
And it's so difficult for a lot of these, NGOs that work within relief to not to look beyond their own problems and look elsewhere when it's worse, So for me, that's what really stuck out with me, is the fact that they went to Somalia, they went to Malawi, and those are really, really amazing stories he told. But at the same time, there's so much going on in South Africa too. So it's very difficult when you are in that space of relief for you to be in those two worlds, to say, I really want to help what's going on in South Africa, but I need to also look at my brothers and my sisters in other countries. And that's what it's about. That's what disaster relief is all about. And it was very enlightening for me to hear from City Hope and from Aki about, the kind of work that they do. Definitely.
But yes, I think that wraps up our show. It's been a great show. Yes, we experienced a few technical difficulties, but it's just
Friday.
It's Friday, and it was worth it after just listening to Aki speak about what they do and the relief they provide to various communities, But yes, please engage with us at Social One TV on Twitter and at TV_CSI on Instagram. We are also on Facebook. It's social-TV. And yes, engage with us. Let us know, just join the conversation online.
Yes, definitely. And ask the question whether or not you think we have a strong enough disaster relief ethos in South Africa. And I think, Aki could have swayed your judgment a little bit there with his NGO there. But yeah, we had a good show. We'll talk to you guys on Monday.
Yep.
It's Friday.
The Social Show is the only show that gives you updated content on all things CSI.
The show will interrogate and report on the latest initiatives that are supported, developed and initiated by the public and private sector.
Hosted by myself, Viwe Cholwana,
and me, Lebika Robert,
every week from 4 to 5 p.m. Hear it on brandlive.co.za.
See it on social-tv.co.za.
brandlive.co.za, harnessing the power of talk radio.